All right, here we go. Well, thanks everybody for joining us today. In this webinar, we'll be talking about some AI complications that come along when you are actually developing software and you need to get things rolled out, and then suddenly you've got all of these things you need to consider when you're using AI. But we're also going to be talking about using pipelines and feature flags to solve some of that complication. So thank you so much for joining. Your time is valuable, whether you're watching this live or watching the recording. I really do appreciate it. Before I start, I do want to do some quick introductions. My name is Aaron Newcomb. I work for Harness as a senior product marketing manager. I've been around for way too many years than I care to admit, talking about monitoring and software development and all sorts of things. But we won't go into that. You can read my bio online with a quick Google search. But I do want to introduce my partner today who's going to be doing our demo, and that's Lena. Lena, can you introduce yourself?
Sure. I'm a software developer on the DevRel team at Harness, and most of my career I'm working in .NET technology. More recently, I've been doing some mobile development. It's nice to see you and happy to be here today.
Yeah, and I'm really excited for what you're going to be sharing today because it's something fundamental, but probably not something that a lot of people are considering as they look at their software development lifecycle. So this is going to be really, really interesting today. All right, so speaking of what's interesting today, let's just go ahead and go over the agenda so you know what's coming up. I will talk about a little bit of the state of, kind of where we're at with AI, what's working, what's not. I'll give you a little bit of an intro into Harness in case you don't know much about us. It's always good to talk about the platform and level set a little bit. And then we'll go into continuous delivery and feature flags and how you can use them together to improve the processes that you have in place and make things a lot easier for your organization. I'll give you an example of a customer that's using feature flags very effectively today. The demo is really the meat of today's presentation. You're really going to like this if you're dealing with experimentation or trying to automate processes. You're going to find it really valuable. And then I'll give you some resources where you can go to learn more about either this topic or other topics that may be interesting to you. And of course, throughout the whole thing, we're going to be answering questions. So we'll definitely have a little bit of time at the end dedicated to answering questions we don't get to during the webinar, but you can ask questions at any time. And as they come up, I'll take a look at them. And if they're relevant to the discussion, I'll answer them as we go along, or I can answer them in chat, or I will answer them after the fact if I don't know the answer. So please ask those questions. It keeps us honest and helps us know what you're thinking about as we go through the webinar. All right, so let's talk a little bit about kind of where we are, or at least what we're hearing from our customers about how they're using AI in code development today, and then where those challenges crop up along the way. So anybody that's used any kind of AI assisted code development, you name whatever your favorite codex or Claude Code or whatever you like to use to do your coding, more integrated solutions within VS Code. I mean, there's tons of ways to use AI these days to help you code and help you code faster. So being faster is great, but that probably means that you have a lot more releases and you need to get those releases out, and your release process may not be matched up exactly with the velocity of code that you're getting from this increase in the amount of code that's coming because AI is helping. I just had this recently when I deployed an AI to help me do some coding, and tasks that used to take me a couple of weeks to develop. I'm not a great coder, by the way. That's not my primary job function, so don't hold it against me. But the AI was coming back in 10 minutes and the quality was pretty good. Maybe I had to make one or two small changes, but 2 weeks versus 10 minutes is a huge increase in velocity. And so all of a sudden, what our customers are telling us is that they have a backup of releases, or they're packing more into their releases that they're doing, their deployments. And there's a lot more that can go wrong these days. And so feature flags can really help with that. You also have, a lot of problems with if you're not if you don't have everything automated in your processes, then AI comes along and it just complicates things even further. You start to develop inconsistencies where some things work, some things don't. Strategies have to be adjusted to deal with this new world that we're living in. So you can read more on the pros and cons. Maybe you agree, maybe you don't agree. but this is at least what we're seeing from our customers, and certainly what a lot of my friends who are software developers have experienced as they've been rolling out AI into their software development lifecycle. So the question is, how do we deal with that? Well, let's back up a little bit and talk about the platform here at Harness, because a lot of people know Harness for our bread and butter technology, if you will, the first thing that we really coalesced around, which is CD, right? Continuous delivery. But you may not know that we have a lot of other modules, as we call them, or products in our platform that can help you do all kinds of other things, from security to cost to, in this case, what we're going to be talking about is feature management and experimentation, which is really kind of at the far end of your deployment. If you're doing your deployments and you're not turning on those feature flags or using a system that allows you to use feature flags easily and reliably, then you're really missing out on a big part of the puzzle here. And I'll show you an example of that as we go forward. Underlying this platform that we have, of course, are agentic flows. We have AI underlying all of this so that you can ask questions, get answers, and even change up the way that you're doing things with the AI that we've built into the platform. So we're going to be talking a lot about how you combine all the goodness that we offer in our CD product, right, with feature flags to make things a whole lot easier for you and your teams. So let's talk a little bit about using CD by itself first, right? So when you're using CD, you are doing some testing, obviously. You're doing some A/B testing or some canary deployments, but typically the way this works is that you do large, hesitate to use the word monolithic, but monolithic releases where you're scheduling a big release to go out. A lot of our customers, we find before they start using our feature flag product, are maybe doing releases every week, on the weekends when it's safe and those types of things. And you're bundling up underneath those releases, a bunch of different features that you want to improve upon in your product. And so those are all going out at one time. And then if one of them breaks, you have to do a rollback, right? Because you can't just take back that one feature typically. You have to actually roll back the entire application. So you get up to 30%, let's say, of your canary deployment, and then all of a sudden you realize something went wrong. You have to roll back the whole thing. So we have automated tools that can help you with that. So we make that process easy and as painless as possible, but you're still having to do a holistic rollback of all of the features that you rolled out, which may not be good for those users, especially the ones who have already been exposed to those new features. So what about using feature flags? We refer to it as our product as FME, which is feature management and experimentation. So you'll hear me reference that throughout the webinar today. But what if we were able to couple the goodness of our CD platform with feature flags in order to do something much more granular? So in this case, we'll push out our application, for example, with CD. We'll roll that out, but all the features here are behind feature flags. So even though we've rolled out our big package here, or whatever the new version of our mobile application, whatever it is, we've got the individual features now behind feature flags, and we're actually able to roll those out much more granularly to a targeted set of users. So, be that a particular region, for example, or a particular type of user. Maybe we have power users that we want to roll this out to first. Maybe we just want to do more of a canary release where you're rolling out to a certain percentage and see what happens. And then also for turning these features off, it becomes much easier as well, because you just turn the flag off. You don't have to do a full rollback. And maybe you even give your support team capabilities to turn that feature flag off for you if something does go wrong, so that you can quickly respond to user impact. So it gives you a lot more flexibility. You don't have to do as many of these big rollbacks if something does go wrong, so it protects you from a risk standpoint. And by combining these two features in a holistic way, it helps you with your processes as well. And we're going to show you that in great detail today when we get to the demo. You can also think of this as like, in our current world, right? If you were an LLM, a company that produces an LLM, you could use this to experiment as well. So you might turn on your next version of your LLM for people to use without them necessarily knowing it, so that you can get some feedback on how it's performing. And then, of course, when you're done with that test, you just turn that off and you're back to normal. You evaluate what's going on, and then you maybe make that change permanent at some point when you do your big release to the next version of your LLM that you want people to use. So lots of ways to use feature flags as part of your releases. So just to summarize, you can do these big releases, obviously, with some rollout granularity by using CD. If you are only using feature flags and not using CD, then of course you get that kind of on-off feature by feature capability. You can turn them off, turn them on, turn them off, but you're not going to have a holistic process in place to be able to automate and provide a consistent experience for your rollouts. But of course, if you put these together, you get the best of both worlds. You can do your big rollouts, turn your features on and off, and do your experimentation, and it's all controlled under one platform in one user interface. So just another quick example of this. Let's say you were a bank and you were deploying your next big version of your banking app, and you wanted to run some experiments on this app to maybe encourage people to open a new account or apply for a loan or interact with your software more, because with more interactions, there's going to be more business generated by that. And so you're trying to increase the amount of interactions that users take within the app and not just make it one of those stale apps that people keep around on their phone for forever. So what you could do is you could have that big deployment by using our CD product, and then have your individual features turned on as either minor versions, in this case, of your software, or do those rollouts because that specific end users, you have a cadre of users that are of particular interest to you, and so you roll those features out one at a time or to certain percentages. And by doing this, you don't have to have the user redeploy their app at any point in time. These features are all there. They're available. They can be turned on. They can be turned off. These are all done and evaluated on the remote end. So there's no very minimal performance impact to your end users by having these feature flags built into your software. And you can imagine all kinds of use cases. So if you're a bank, obviously I put some bank examples up here. We all know those names. But what if you were a restaurant or a fast food establishment, and you wanted to test different ways of using your deals, right, or your rewards or your upgrades to be able to upgrade people into a larger size order when they come in to use your kiosk or use the mobile app. Those are things that you can turn on and off as part of your deployment and as part of your ongoing release schedule. And you can test for those things, and we'll show you how to do that in the demo in just a minute. Before we do, I just wanted to give you one quick example of a customer who's using feature flags and doing a great job, and that's Speedway Motors. So Speedway Motors came to us. They were having a typical problem where they could only do new releases maybe a couple times a month, every other week or so, and they couldn't really tie it back. The changes they were making, they were having a difficult time tying those changes back to the impact on their particular application. Are they generating more revenue? Are they working? Are customers happy? Are they clicking on things we want them to click on? They really had no visibility into that. And so they came to us. They started using our feature management and experimentation project, and they were actually to see huge impacts, not only to their deployment frequency. So they're actually deploying daily at this point, or multiple times a day, because they have that structure with those feature flags in place to do those releases. And then the other impact that they've seen is because they have a consistent way to measure this and a consistent way to roll these out, that they're able to actually see huge impacts in revenue and their e-commerce application because of the way that they're using our products. So it's amazing to see what some of our customers are doing. I wish I had time to show you all of them, because there's some tremendous customers that have tremendous revenue impacts once they start using our product. And really, this pays for itself if you roll this out in an organized way. So we do have a question that's come up, and we're going to get to this in just a minute, actually, in the demo, which is, what is the mechanism of delivering the Harness feature flag to the client apps? So we're going to actually show you an example of that in the demo, and we're going to give you the code in a GitHub repository so that you can download it and see exactly what we're showing you. You can inspect it a little bit more closely after we're done here today. Really quickly, let's just go over some key definitions. We're going to be talking about these three things during the demo. Harness pipelines. So pipelines is kind of a generic term, but for Harness, this is really like one of the core pieces of our CD product, and we'll show you this. It actually manages workflows and rollouts, and everything can be done. It can be scripted. It's really the core piece of how we deliver a consistent experience, or how we allow you to deliver a consistent experience to your teams. We'll show you that in great detail in just a minute. And then, of course, hopefully, if you're on this call, you know about feature flags or can guess what they are based on my examples that I've shown you so far. But we're going to talk a lot about feature flags, and experimentation, of course, is taking those feature flags to the next level and using those to run experiments on, like I said, particular features that you want to roll out, or ideas that your particular business might have for how they can improve their business and improve their customer experience. So let me just give you an example on the screen about what you can do with a Harness pipeline and what it looks like. So you'll see this as we get into the demo, this kind of chain of events that happens, and it allows us to put in, to do things like, hey, let's put in an approval step at this point. Let's configure this feature flag in this certain way at this point. Let's roll this feature flag out to more users at this point in the process. So it gives you a very consistent process to be able to control your deployments and to be able to control your releases, your feature releases. And I decouple those a little bit. Sometimes people put them together. I decouple deployments from releases because we are talking about using feature flags here. But there's a lot of things that you can do. So you can deploy things to Kubernetes, for example, or serverless environments. You can deploy or set up SSH for your VMs. You can have different approval processes in place. You can set up your arguments for Argo CD and Flux. You can actually pull request pipelines. You can interact with GitHub. So there's all kinds of things you can do with pipelines. It's very, very powerful. And so having feature flags added to your pipelines, to the existing functionality, is very, very powerful. All right, so we're going to get into the demo in just a minute, but first I want to take us into a scenario, and maybe a lot of you have been part of this yourselves, where you come into a meeting and there's it has been identified that there is a problem that needs to be solved. In this case, in this meeting, we're going to be talking about how we want to increase engagement by using a rating system. So we want to be able to put ratings or stars on all of our products. And we want to be able to drive engagement that way by showing people how reliable our products are, how dependable they are, how many reviews we have, et cetera. So we've come up with, as a team, some objectives. So we want to be able to add these review stars to each product that we have in our catalog, on our website. We want to be able to test different variations of these stars, because we're not sure whether there's a difference between putting in black stars, gold stars, purple stars, how we present them to users. You can create your own example for your own application. We're simplifying this quite a bit so that we can show it to you as part of the demo. But come up with your own thing that you would want to test for your particular set of users. And then, of course, we need to be able to find a way to evaluate whether our changes are working. Are they having a positive or negative impact on user behavior? And then we need to be able to roll out a final version to all users. And as part of that, we want to make sure that we don't create any additional tech debt, because if you're running DIY feature flags, you're very familiar with, going back and finding these old feature flags that are still enabled in your code. Perhaps it causes problems later. We want to avoid that. So we want to minimize the number of rollouts and rollbacks that we use to make these changes and evaluate what's going on. And then, of course, we want to minimize team toil, because some of us are busier than others, but there's things going on in the background. We have, things that we've got to take care of as part of our normal jobs. And we want to minimize the amount of work and also standardize across the team as much as we can. So we just had this meeting, And we decided, we being me in this case, have decided that these are all the things that we want to do, and it shouldn't really take that long. So now let's bring in Lena. Hey, Lena, how you doing? You can see our objectives on the screen there, right?
Yeah. I can
Okay,
see.
great. Well, we have to get this done by Friday. So if you could come back and show us on Friday what you've done, that would be great. All right. Okay, let's go ahead and end the meeting now, and let's all go to lunch.
Okay,
So
that's
Lena, now we'll fast forward to Friday. Why don't you show us what you've done and how you've implemented all of our objectives for this?
Okay, sounds good. So you can see my screen, is that right? So
Yep.
Yeah, okay, perfect. So this is what I'm trying to do. Let's rewind a little bit before Friday, and I'll introduce you to the problem. So here's the website that we're working on. This is the element that I want to add to. And what I'm trying to do here is add some stars that represent the product rating. Our goal is to encourage our users to have confidence in our products because of the reviews. So that's what it will visually look like on the page. Now let's go to our code. So here is where in our code we'll add this span with the rating. But as Aaron said, we want to check different variations. So we're not sure the color that we want to display the stars using. So that's going to be a variant. We want to experiment with different colors. And we have a conditional statement to check whether or not the flag is on. If the value is a color, then we're going to display it on our page. So now I'm going to set up the FME feature flag. I'll show you how this will be rolled out with a feature flag and a Harness pipeline. So now here we are in Harness.
And by the way, Lena, let me just break in there. What language was that?
This is a ASP.NET Core site. This code is Blazor, and it's written in C#.
Okay,
and
that's why it looked familiar to me, but I've never written in C#, so not entirely familiar.
Yeah, the audience will have a link to the GitHub repo, so that you'll see how the feature flags are served using a microservice. So later you can check all that and have a look through and examine it.
Awesome.
So, all right. So here in Harness, we are in the feature flag, feature management and experimentation module. And in our feature flags, we've defined display product rating flag. And our colors that we want, we've defined here as treatments. So feature flag treatments are feature flag variations. We want to try out these colors: black, orange, gold. And we're going to compare against the off treatment because we're going to measure the impact of our variants. And we're going to manage this feature flag using a pipeline so that it's standardized. So our pipeline is here, and I'll explain each of these steps as we go. Let's start running it. And I'll open this together. So this pipeline will update the feature flag for me. So the first thing it does is it sets the flag status. So my team knows that we're doing external beta with this feature. And the second thing it did was set targets. So the user keys here are served this treatment. A0 user key is served black stars, A1 is served orange, A2 is served gold, and A3 is off. Now what that looks like for our users is like this. So here is a cookie where I pull the user ID from. This can be done in many different ways, not necessarily cookies, but for the demo, it's easy to demo. And we have other user experiences shown as well. So I'll show you the user IDs. So here we have A1, A2, A3, and I'll update the windows so you'll see their user experience.
Ah, that's very cool. So yeah, I can see there's all the different colors we want to test. Again, this could be anything, right? We're it's a simple example, but I can see the experiment is running because we have all of these different things, and these could be all kinds of different users or a percentage test or anything, right?
Yeah, it can be any feature you want. The feature flags are very easy to configure, very dynamic. You can have dynamic configuration as well. So even you can pass JSON to each user key, and you really can customize what users see.
And I should remind people too, this is a live demo. So I mean, those were updating in real time. So it seems very fast as well.
Yeah, it's in real time. So you roll out the feature but hide it, and then with the flag you update the user experience. So it's dynamic. You can roll back features instantly as well.
Nice.
Okay, so we're gonna see also we can remove a target just for demonstration purposes. So here we'll remove A0. No longer the rating is shown. All right, so now this is the part of the demo that we start to really enter into the power of FME, feature management and experimentation. Because we are going to set up percentage distribution targeting rules, so we can start to experiment and measure our metrics and enable alerting. So let's push our pipeline forward, and I'll show you the experiment. I'll zoom out a bit too. Oops.
I can see the pipeline as you're going through. I can see the pipeline automatically building with the steps in there. That's pretty cool.
Yeah, it's really nice. So here in the rollout status now has updated for the flag experimenting, and we have now a percentage targeting rule. So this rule determines that these feature flag treatments are distributed evenly among all the users that are in the experiment. So having this percentage targeting rule, I can set up my experiment. So that's still in the feature management and experimentation module. I have experiments here, and I create an experiment including adding metrics, such as I can measure the average purchase amount. So now my experiment is going to collect the metric calculations for each of these feature flag treatments. So I'm going to be able to compare them, see what has the most value, and ensure the safety of each feature flag treatment. So now you can notice that I have limited the exposure of this percentage targeting rule to 20%. So it really is an experiment. I'm not releasing to my full audience, but I'm limiting the experiment to a minority of my audience. So that way it's safe. I can collect metrics. And you have the 4 user experiences shown here, but another view shows the a little bit larger scope. So this is what 20% of my audience looks like if we have a few more samples. Just to show you. So for instance, here we have H3. That's also a user key. And I can update this value to be that H3 key. And now when I update the page, you have again the black colored ratings. So now we have this experiment running for some time. Now it's been long enough. We have collected some data, and the users have made some purchases. We can now have a good feeling for the value of.
So before we move on to that, I just want to clarify this box that we're seeing with all of the letters and numbers and the different colored stars in here. So this is just a representation that you made to represent all the different segments, so to speak, of our users. These could be anything, but you just put this together as an example, right, to show us which ones that we've conjectured here, that we've come up with, we can see live in this little image which ones have been rolled out to and which ones haven't, right?
Exactly. So here's, like, in this view, you have user A1. They see the orange stars. And in this view here, I'm showing the same thing. A1 sees orange, A2 sees gold. I changed this particular window to be H3. So it's a condensed representation of our audience, what users see. And any user key that I throw at the feature flag, it's going to make an assignment and give me a treatment back. So these are in no way predefined. It's just dynamic assignment according to the percentage targeting rule that I have defined. So it's really dynamic.
Yeah. Nice.
Yeah, and random assignment. But the percentage is maintained, so you have the controlled experiment, right? Okay, so some time has gone by, the experiment has run, and while before we saw no calculations have run yet, after a period of time, they will have run, and we'll see our experimental results. So we can see what's the value of our feature. We also have alerting, and possibly we can configure automatic rollback as well. So if there is degradation in a metric that we care about, that feature, that flag will be rolled back. I mean, that can be configured as well, so you can feel safe with the rollouts. So now let's step into the maybe Aaron, my boss, is going to get an email. He's going to be linked here, and he has a message here in the pipeline to review the experimental results and approve or reject. Choose one of the variants, which one performs best. So let's see the average purchase amount. We can see the variations. Black clearly is the best performing feature flag treatment. It has an increase in our average purchase amount by 30%. So for sure, we're happy with that. We can also notice that there's a small undesired increase in cumulative layout shift on the page, but we're not concerned with that. So Aaron's going to decide that he approves the black feature flag treatment. So here in our, now let's put our data-driven decision here into our pipeline. So we have the record. So we're going to write that black star ratings increase average purchase by 29%, while minimally so our CLS is only 3%. So oops. So we're happy with that. And all right, and we'll approve this harness approval step. And now we're going to change to black. So here's again our rollout. I'm going to drop it here so we can watch all that in parallel. So now our pipeline is rolling out our feature. The flag status is set to ramping. So our team again has clarity in where we are in our feature rollout. Here we are ramping the feature. Black is 95% now. We maintain this percentage targeting rule. And the reason why we do that is because this enables us to continue to receive alerts. In particular, degradation alerts would fire. And as I mentioned, we can configure a webhook to automatically roll back the feature flag in case there's a degradation. So that way we feel very safe. We rest easy as this rollout is happening. We can also manually monitor our experimentation results, but we have the alerts that we need as well. And one thing as well, this is one feature rollout, but as Erin was mentioning, with AI increased velocity, the feature releases are becoming faster. So it may be that we have a great use case and see a huge advantage for rolling out features in parallel. Not only, they don't have to be rolled out one by one, but features in parallel are handled very well with FME. FME is powerful enough and sophisticated to orchestrate feature flag experimentation and rollouts in parallel, so the metric improvements and degradation are correctly attributed to the feature flag treatments that caused the metric change. So that's the advantage of having the feature flags, the calculations, and the attribution engine working for you. So now here we are with the feature fully rolled out. So if we go to our flag, we can see we're at 100% released. And our users are all seeing the same they're all seeing the same feature that has the value that we've chosen and safely rolled out. All right, so are we done? Not yet. Because in our code, although this feature is released, users are seeing it, our rollout is successful, but we still are evaluating the FME feature flag in our code. This targeting is still active, but we don't need to have this variant anymore. We already know black is the best color, so we don't need to check any flags anymore. So let's remove this from code, and let's take away our display rating parameter from our component. We don't need to evaluate this feature flag anymore, and the variable in our code we can remove. So I'm going to complete removing that evaluation, and the last thing I'll do is remove the feature flag name. So now our code has fully removed the feature flag. It's no longer referenced in the code at all. It's clean, and I can go to the last step here. So my pipeline is still waiting. It's not complete because it has this. I've put this last step to clean up tech debt into our pipeline. So again, Aaron gets a prompt after the rollout is fully released. He is asked to confirm that all references to the feature flag have been removed from code. And going to the engineers, he confirms that it is. One thing more. Once this feature flag reference is gone from the code simply shows the variant that performs the best. Then we roll out this code without the feature flag using Harness CD, and it could be a canary release or a blue-green release, a safe release, so that this code now becomes production code without the feature flag. So now that has been done and confirmed. So we'll write that into our pipeline. Oops. All right, so we're going to disable targeting now because we don't need it anymore. And we approve that last. And here, if I'm quick enough. So in my pipeline now, I will disable the, we have the removed from code status, and we have just disabled the feature flag. So the targeting is no longer active. I'll show you that. So here the targeting is killed. The feature flag is killed, it's no longer active. And what that means is here the users have the feature because it's not behind a flag any longer. While this script is updating dynamically. So when I do have that flag here, then what it looks like is, so I put a breakpoint here to show you what comes back when you, for the A0 user key, I'm getting the feature flag evaluation, then the return value, as you saw, probably the return value is off. So it's no longer, so the flag is, variant is no longer being displayed. And that's because here in our targeting rules, we have defined the default treatment to be off, and this is served to all the users if the feature flag is killed. So what have we accomplished with FME feature flags and Harness pipelines? To summarize, we've achieved standardized and consistent feature rollouts that are safe and data-driven, measured. We have standardized use of statuses for our team, so our team has full transparency on the feature rollout stage. And we have added flag removal into our pipeline so that we have no tech debt for our team. So hopefully that was useful and you enjoyed that demo. Okay, back to you. That's all from me, Aaron.
All right, excellent. Excellent. Well, you've definitely done your job. You've done everything that we've asked and more. Now our teams are happy. You know, perhaps we can use this as a template for the rest of our organization to use when they're rolling out their changes. So this is going right in your performance evaluation, Lena, and you can expect a big raise at the end of the year. But no, this was great, Lena. Thank you so much for showing us this, because it really does show us the power of pipelines. One thing I want to point out is that, of course, you were modifying a few things in the demo as we went along, but 95% of it was run by a single pipeline that you had set up, and I think that's really, really powerful. There was a question that came up. Let's try this little display thing and see if this works. So there was a question that came up during the demo: how do we standardize rollouts across multiple teams and services so releases feel less manual? And now I think this came up actually just in the beginning. And so now I think you actually have the answer to this question, which is, by using pipelines, you can do exactly that. So we showed you one example of one pipeline with one project, so to speak, right? And one experiment. But imagine if you have thousands of developers and they're all working on new features and you need to standardize across your whole organization. You can use these pipelines to standardize across your teams. And not only that, we're showing feature flags and experimentation today, but there's also hooks in there where you can put in steps to check security for your app, make sure there's no vulnerabilities added, or put a check in to check your costs. Maybe your organization is trying to reduce costs, and before they turn on new features, they want to have some sort of cost check to make sure that budget is okay and they're not incurring more costs. There's all sorts of things that can be put into pipelines, but I feel like the most natural thing to put in a pipeline at the end of your CD, your build process, and all of those types of things is then to add in these feature flag steps as we just showed, so that it's one continuous process from code build to feature release, and then even going further into tech debt reduction. So yeah, really, really powerful. Okay, so let me give you some resources where you can get more information, not only on this topic, but others. Again, as a reminder, if you have more questions, go ahead and put those in the interface, because we're going to have a Q&A, little time for Q&A coming up in just a minute here. But let's talk about resources first. So we talked about this project, and Lena showed the code that she was using and how she put the flag in and took the flag out, and how I need to go learn C# now so I can understand it. But really, if you want to dive into this, if this is something you're interested in and you want to try this out on your own or just see the code that was involved, we're making this project available to you on GitHub. So you can use this QR code. I believe these links are also in the resources section for you. So you can click on these any of this stuff, and it will go right to the project page. And I just think it's a great resource for people to actually see where the flag lived, what did it look like, how was it included in the code. Should be a great resource for people that are new to feature flags. Also, there's some interesting use cases for feature flags beyond just turning specific features on and off or doing experiments. But actually, for a lot of folks that come to us, they're having trouble with things still like cloud migration or migrating off of old tech that they're trying to finally get rid of, that mainframe or whatever it is. And you can actually use feature flags to help with migration. And we did a whole webinar on this, as well as an ebook that's available to show you how to use feature flags when you're migrating from one type of technology to another, be it moving to the cloud or anything else. So definitely check that out. We're always doing webinars. Here's another one from Feature Flags to Measurable Impact. Really what that webinar is all about is showing you a maturity model that you can use to gauge where you're at in your maturity with feature flags and experimentation. Tremendously valuable resource. And in fact, we're happy to actually come out and run this for you in-house if you want, so that you can get our expertise. We have people that have been doing this in the field for big companies for years that are now working for us and know how to develop a mature practice around feature flags and experimentation. Highly recommend checking that out and contacting us if you want to set something like that up. And then, of course, we have ongoing blogs as well, simplifying feature flag management with open features. If you know about open features, great project to kind of standardize thing and reduce vendor lock-in. We support open features in a lot of different ways as well. But we're always putting out interesting blogs, I think, on our blog page. So check that out. Okay, so we've come to the moment you've all been waiting for, the Q&A here at the end. So we'll take a look, see what questions we haven't already answered. But I do want to point out there is a QR code on your screen, and perhaps if you're watching live, you saw it kind of flash up in front of you there, where you can sign up for your own personalized demo. So, oh, there it is right there. So if you want to sign up for a demo, or if you're watching the recording, it's in the resources. You can actually click or scan the QR code with your phone, sign up for a demo, and we'll actually show you a lot more about feature flags, not just as it pertains to pipelines, but how our feature management product works, how experimentation gets run, how to hook into your existing data warehouses. So we'll show you all of that functionality for you in a demo that's personalized to your particular needs. So do sign up for that. Okay, so let's take a look at questions and see what else we have. So let's start with this one. This says, if we already have CI/CD pipelines, what do feature flags add, and when do we actually need both? I think the answer to this is simple. You always need both. If you want to make the most of both our product, I'm assuming you're using a Harness product today, but if you're not, you should be. No, but really, to me, it's the logical end of the pipeline process or the software delivery lifecycle process, is to have feature flags as part of the process. And then at the end, you're using those to enable and disable your features and run experiments with them. If you're not doing that, it's kind of like, you're getting 80% of the way there and then leaving the rest to chance. And you don't want to do that. So you want to be doing this from the get-go. We now have this functionality available. We had some before as well, previous to this point, but we've been amplifying that over time. And we've really ramped this up over the past month or so. Our developers have been working hard to put more functionality in those pipelines for you. And so, if you're not doing it now, you should start doing it now, because this is really going to help you with your releases and help your team standardize across those releases. Just doing a check to see what else we have here. Let's go with this one, and Lena, maybe you have some ideas around this one too. So when something goes wrong, what's the recommended rollback path? Redeploy, pipeline rollback, or flipping a flag? I think the answer is it depends. But the good thing is, I believe they're all available, right, Lena? I mean, depending on what your situation is and how you want to enable your teams to respond to this.
Yeah, exactly. Depending, because what you want is you want to isolate the problem. So the alerting will isolate the problem for you. You don't have to triage. You'll see exactly which treatment is causing the degradation in a metric that you're concerned with. And then you can, so like if we're talking about feature rollouts within a larger um, deployment, like you have hidden features that you're gradually exposing to your audience, and one of them triggers a metric. Then what you do is you flip a flag very quickly and it's gone, and you no longer have that metric acting up. Then you can look and see exactly what it is that is causing that degradation. You know the feature, what it is, but I mean, you're going to look into the issue. And then you have the choice whether or not you want to redeploy, but it's going to be a new rollout, unless you can roll out a microservice or some component of your larger application. So now you have the flexibility to properly handle it, and you don't have the stress of trying to figure out what went wrong. You can react in an intelligent, flexible way.
Yeah, I love that. And like I said, I love the example of being able to give the feature flag capability to an incident response team, right? So, they know automatically, they can make the decision, they can make the call. Hey, all of a sudden our website is messed up. Let's go ahead and turn this off. And it's very easy to do. They don't have to actually even do the rollback in the first place if they're using feature flags.
Yeah, the rollback can be automatic, and then they can go and investigate.
Yep. I love it. Let's do one more because we're just about out of time. So this is something we didn't talk about, but it is an important part of the process, which is how do you add governance and approvals without slowing teams down? And of course, you can do that with pipelines, right? That would be one of the preferred methods of doing it, so that it's not a manual process. The last thing you want, if you have an audit or something that you have to respond to, is to not know how something happened or why someone didn't respond to a problem in a timely fashion. But if you build this out in an organized way using pipelines, then you can always go back and say, here's the audit trail, here's what happened, incident happened, so-and-so was notified, webhook was called to go interact with PagerDuty or something, whatever it is. And you have that nice audit trail ready to show to the folks that are looking at those from a governance perspective or from a regulatory perspective, that you have processes in place to deal with these types of things. So it's a great question. I don't think we showed manager approval today as part of the pipeline, but we didn't really show a governance hook. But there could be hooks in there for all sorts of things. You can do webhooks. You can run manual scripts if you want to, and you can actually program the whole pipeline if you want with YAML. I don't think we showed that today. We forgot, but that's something that you can do if you're into YAML and you want to write the whole pipeline in YAML or edit it in YAML. You can do that too. So we make it really easy, and we give you those opportunities to show audit trails when you need to handle that. So that's all I see today from a question standpoint. Great questions, everyone. Thanks for chiming in. And please do contact us. We'd love to see what your particular, use case is and what the problems that you're facing, because we have a whole team dedicated to helping our customers deal with those problems. And what I think you'll find is that the way that we've set up our systems to automate things and control things with pipelines is going to add a lot to any organization, an organization of any size. So, Lena, thank you so much for doing the demo today. Really appreciate it. Really powerful. And thanks to everybody else for watching. And we'll see you on the next one. All right. Bye-bye.